Welcome to Masters of None. Coming up on tonight's show, the boys will be looking at the Solarcan. What is it? What does it look like? What's it used for? And what has it got to do with solar? They'll also be joined by the creator, Sam Cornwell. Well, if anyone's got the answers, it'll be him. And we'll also have our picks of the week. So welcome to episode 5, Why the Face Even Is a Solarcan. That's what it stands for, isn't it?
Hey, we're live again. This has genuinely turned in. I always forget that it swaps us round. This has genuinely turned into the thing I look forward to most every week. Sitting here talking absolute rubbish with you. It's just turned into so much fun. So yeah, how are you? How are we doing?
Very, very similar to last week, my mate. A lot of edits. I realised at about half an hour ago that I've had a sandwich all day and been. Don't you just love when you get into the edit and literally like 6 hours goes by and you're like, oh, didn't realise. So this will be fun. Yeah.
This is, I've been drinking the same beer on every stream because I bought a 4-pack of it and I've still got one in the fridge. But we're on episode 5. And I don't understand how that works because I've definitely had a beer every stream. So, yeah, this is my last one. I'm going to have to go and restock my beer supply.
Have you refilled that with water by any chance?
No, it's definitely beer. I'm gassy. You're going to hear it. So,
wait.
Oh, yeah. Right. We've got somebody super special backstage. He's called Sam. He's just down here on my screen at the minute. I have known Sam for... Sam, how long have I known you for?
Oh, hi, Chris. I've known you for 11, 12 years.
Thanks, Sam.
So I've known Sam for 11 or 12 years. I went to university with him. He was doing photography. I was doing music. And we kind of just became friends, acquaintances. I think we became friends. And over the years, because I went into doing photography and video and all that kind of stuff, me and Sam have kind of grown closer. And... he makes an amazing product called the Solarcan, one of these things, which is marketed as the world's simplest camera. Adam, do you know what a Solarcan is?
Well, the thing is, Chris has, for those who've been watching from the beginning, you'll know the very, very quick reason why we do this stream is because Chris and I, over the last year or so, have been having Zoom beers and they've lasted hours and we've consumed copious amounts. And I'm pretty sure at some point you told me about a Solarcan, but I must have been absolutely leathered. Now, you came to me a couple of weeks back and you said, I want to do the Solarcan. We've got Sam. We'd love to feature it. And I have purposely stayed completely ignorant, which isn't hard for me because I really, really want to learn about this. But I wanted to learn about this, and the questions for me come naturally. So I could have quite simply said no, couldn't I?
Yeah. So you don't know what the most you know is that it's a can. It's an aluminium can that is also somehow a camera.
Is it refreshing?
It hasn't got any liquid in it, so I probably makes a good noise when you open it.
Oh, I can imagine.
That's always refreshing. Let's get Sam on the stream. You ready, Sam? You prepared? You're not picking your nose or anything, are you? No, good. Hello, mate. How are you doing?
Hello, Adam. Hello, Chris. Thanks for having me on.
You're very welcome.
Right, so what are we going to talk about today?
Right. I thought we would talk about the real big deals about Brexit, maybe.
Don't get Sam started on any of that. You won't go to sleep tonight if you start talking about any of that.
I've had so many issues just today. I've been making passive-aggressive comments to many people regarding shipments over to Hungary and Finland and France and Italy. They've caused no end of stress, and all these extra grey hairs that I didn't have when me and Chris were at university are genuinely because, 50% children, 50% Brexit.
So concise as possible without going in too much, because I actually really want to start at the beginning because it's a very good place to start. That's how popular Solarcan is. It's global, is it?
Absolutely, yeah. We sell to every country in the world. Name a country.
Azerbaijan.
Yep, sold to them.
He's a bit of a show off, our Sam, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah. So what
We've
I
not done
kind of
North
want to.
Korea or
Oh,
Iran. I think
so you
one's gone
haven't.
to Iran.
So not every country, just
No,
a lot.
not every country.
No, you'll get there, mate. Don't you worry. One day you'll be rich and famous. You'll get there.
So, Sam, if no one has ever met you before, obviously I haven't, tell us a bit about yourself. Who are you? What do you do? And go.
I am a father of two living in the Scottish borders. Moved my family up here 7 or 8 years ago. I run a small camera business where we build cameras that we're going to be talking about later on. I studied at university with Chris, and I've gone on to study at other universities, Portsmouth and Edinburgh. I'm by trade a photographer, a computer engineer, and an astronomer and an artist. I've found it hard in my entire life to pigeonhole myself into one particular thing until Solarcan came along, because that combines photography, astronomy and art all as one thing together, and has kept my interest for the 4.5 years that it's been going. I'm getting old, I'm middle-aged, I'm struggling with life. I stand there in the shower in the morning and I think, is this what it's come to? Sorry.
No, it's
I'm
fine.
going a bit too far.
No, it's all right. I was actually just going to leave you to ramble until you ran out of words, but Adam put you out of your misery.
You're terrible. I knew exactly what you were doing, and I thought you awful man, you.
This is what this stream has become.
Can we start again? Can we just stop?
No,
Yeah.
no, you know what? You've touched on a really, really good point there, and actually, you Christ, you complement this stream very, very well, because obviously masters of none, jack of all trades, and you clearly are a jack of all trades, and you've tried to, well, you've struggled to pigeonhole yourself. And I think that's very much the same as Chris and the same as me. So it's you're with like-minded, I think.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Well, I've always struggled, not struggled, but I've got bored sticking with one thing. And 6 months after Solarcan became a thing, I was still into it, really, really into it. And 4.5 years later, you can ask Chris, I'm still really, really into it. And it's my life now. It's a full-time job. I was before, when it started, I was still part-time doing this and that on the side, doing photography, doing astronomy. More recently, I've been teaching at university, but I've had to stop doing that now because this is genuinely a 5-day-a-week job, and it's only going to get bigger at the moment.
Right. Okay.
All right.
Well, seriously, I'm no offense, Sam. I'm sick of hearing about you and not knowing about this. How the hell? What is a Solarcan?
Okay.
In layman's terms, imagine there's a 10-year-old kid watching who has no idea what a Solarcan is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, that's Adam. So yeah, perfect.
A Solarcan is a camera. So we need to get that over immediately. This is a camera. It looks like a drink, but you're confused because most people think of cameras as something that looks slightly different to this or very, very different to this. But this is what's called an extreme time exposure camera, capable of capturing the path of the sun over days, weeks, months, or years. So it takes a photograph of a landscape or a scene or a cityscape of the sun passing through the sky over several months. So it takes extremely long exposures in a very, very simple way, but it's packaged in a nice, easy way for people to use. I think Chris is going to be showing a few pictures now to be able to pop through it. So essentially, an extreme time exposure camera capable of capturing the path of the sun over days, weeks, months, or years. And if you're confused, images look like this, or I could grab a couple, maybe one here.
Oh,
Let's see on my screen there. So you'll see that arc, that line that you see there is the sun passing through the sky. And if we'd like, we can talk through some of these different images. I think it might be good examples to to say the sort of strange effects and weird places people have been taking Solarcan images. Shall we talk about this one, Chris?
Yeah, sure, do it. So this is a camera you put in place for. You can do it for as long as you want or as short a time as you want, and the result will vary massively depending on how long it's up.
Yeah. So we'll explain that as well. You take your Solarcan, and it comes packaged like so. It'll come packaged like this, or like the one Chris showed earlier, the 3-pack that Chris showed earlier. And they come with a couple of cable ties, which say on them, "Science experiment, please do not touch." And all you do, it's as simple as this. You go outside, you go to your drain pipe, fence post, a lamp post, and you tie it up with the cable ties provided, and you leave it there and let the sun do its work. You remove the black tab that's on the front of it and leave it there and let the sun do its work. Then once you're bored, you can take it down and process it indoors and reveal your image, such as the one you've got here. We'll talk about how to do that in a short while. The one you've got on the screen was a recent one, which was sent to me, and I'd never seen one quite like this. It really got me excited. So this is something I've seen in the last month. Typically, when someone installs a Solarcan, they install it upright, vertically, like this, facing south in the direction of the sun. But this particular person installed it like this, facing directly up. So not like this with the pinhole facing towards the sun.
Where's the pinhole?
The pinhole is right there. It's 0.5 millimeters. Oh, sorry. Thank you. Can you see it?
I see it, yeah. Just below the R.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's 0.5 millimeters aperture. So it's very, very small aperture. And for the photographers amongst us, that gives an aperture of f132. So a maximum aperture of f132. And
Adam's looking confused.
Sorry. I know that a lot of photographers and videographers an aperture of f132 is in 132 or 1.
Yeah, absolutely. So typically you'd be shooting an f8, f5.6, f4, f2.8, f132. So a very, very small aperture. And because of the shape of the Solarcan as a camera, we can come to this later again, it is the maximum aperture of f132 because that is the maximum distance it has to travel to reach the photographic paper that's enclosed inside. Because the photographic paper is curved all the way around the Solarcan, which is what gives some of these unusual abstract shapes that we get. So this photograph we're looking at here is one that's been pointed directly up. And despite having sold a lot and much of the community trying all sorts of experiments, it was only recently that someone first attempted this. So I'm going to give it a go myself to see if I can recreate this. It's a bit unusual to start with an abstract rather than a traditional image, but to recreate something that looks as beautiful and abstract as this, which is definitely not a traditional Solarcan image.
So, sorry, just literally so I can get my tiny little brain around this, and this might only be interesting to me, because the aperture is so narrow, the higher the number, the narrower the aperture, we're picking up on the hottest part of the sun rather than any kind of thing. We're almost taking it as... Chris, am I making any sense with this question?
Yeah, so if you had a torch shining at it, it would take the bulb of the torch, not any of the spill, spill of the light. So it's taking the brightest part of the sun. It's not taking any of the daylight that it's producing. Is that?
Yeah. Thank you, Chris.
I understand the question, but it's complicating the matter. Well, I'll explain how it works. We'll explain exactly how it works rather than what it does, because they're the two things that people get over. What it does, it's a camera. You have to trust that it's a camera that produces these wild images. How it works is slightly more complicated. Inside this, sealed, it's completely sealed, is a piece of photographic paper. Not photographic film, it's photographic paper inside. So anyone from the darkroom days or still tinkers with analog photography nowadays will know what I mean. So black and white photographic paper on the inside. And if you deal with that sort of thing, you'll know that you don't take your photographic paper out into the light because you ruin it immediately.
Darkroom.
You don't take it out of the dark room into the light or the light room. Don't want to confuse products. Because you fog the paper. It's called fogging the paper. However, with solography, which is the type of photography this is, we are intentionally fogging the paper. So by using a pinhole on the Solarcan, we are directing the light from the sun, which is the brightest part of any day, is that point of light, the sun in the sky, to a single point on the photographic paper inside the camera. And that, as it slowly moves across the sky, burns a line, which is basically a fogged line across the photographic paper. And that's what it makes it different. We're hacking the idea of what a photographic paper is to create a solargraph, and that's how it works. To take it out, when you take a piece of photographic paper out of the Solarcan, it's about this big, 5 by 7 inches. So this size, okay, 5 by 7 inches.
Nicely done.
And I use that to cut up paper occasionally. And the piece of paper will come out, not this big. This is just a laser copy print. It will come out and it will look like this. So it will be sort of mauve in tone with a black line across it, where this will be a 2-week exposure perhaps, where the sun has been passing through the sky. And you take a digital photograph of this or a scan of this and you invert it. And that is where you get your magic and your final image. So this is one of the very early first prototypes that we did when we first started doing it. And since there's been thousands of examples that are out there, which you can see on our Instagram.
I love this, because what you're doing is you're marrying analog with digital. It's done in an analog way, but the finished product has to go through the digital process.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Love that.
Absolutely.
Sam, just a really quite simple question. Why?
Why do I want to do this?
No, but why? Where did it come from? Seriously, what made Sam wake up in the morning and go, right, I've had a few too many, that's empty, what can I do with that? Let's get some photographic paper, get a hold of it, and let's go.
It's a good question. Yeah, good question, because it's how Solarcan started. The inception or the beginning of the Solarcan story was around December 2016, and solography is something that's been around since about the year 2000. So I think 3 Polish guys invented the idea of solography, where you intentionally fog a single part of a photographic paper to create these lines. And it has historically and always been a workshop thing, something that you make with bits and pieces from your recycling bin, etc., like an old thing. And December came along, and I was struggling, didn't have work, and I had no money for Christmas presents. So I thought it's about time, I tried to make one of these. And as I was making it, I was thinking, I'm not sure this is going to work. I don't believe.
Wait. You were making them for Christmas presents? Absolutely.
The first ones, yeah.
I didn't know that. That's awesome. I love that.
So I went to Sainsbury's and I bought some the cheapest lager, which was like 12p a can or something like that. And I emptied them, got a tin opener to remove the lid off the top, went to my caravan, which was parked in a bush somewhere, and found some old photographic paper, because that was a dark room at the time. And I made these things and fabricated a lid with gaffer tape and whatnot, and installed them. No, sorry, didn't install them. And I sent them out to friends and family, because I thought these are fun products to do, and gave a little explainer of what to do. And they loved them. It was a nice Christmas present, and I was completely skint at the time, so it worked.
Better than socks, let's be honest.
Yeah, but more fun than socks, something more creative. So after that did, and the reception and feedback I got was so positive, I thought, you know what, I could sell these because I guess that's who I am, and I'm always looking for something to do. So I went down back to Sainsbury's and I bought some Fosters, because I was going to make some nice ones, yeah.
Getting cocky now.
Classy.
Not much of a beer drinker, but yeah. And I emptied them out, and I made them look really smart. So before, when I was just making them, I was like, I took special care with the lid, special care with the little black tab on the pinhole, etc. Cut the paper so it was quite pretty. and I put them on Etsy for sale. And guess how many sold? I made 8 and put them on Etsy. Guess how many sold?
2.
I'm going to guess 0.
Correct. 0 sold. None sold. Like no one wanted. They're like
You want to buy an empty can of Fosters,
and no one wanted these. And I'm not one to be knocked back. So at the start of the year, so the start of January 2017, I put aside £100 and 1 week to make a prototype of something that looked really nice. And if you go back through the very, very, very early stages of my Instagram stream, you might even discover some of the early prototypes. But I quickly discovered £100 and 1 week was definitely not enough to prototype essentially this and what it would become. Rather than tell you the entire story, because it is a story that leads up of all the different things that it had to do. For example, at the time, you couldn't buy a single virgin aluminium can and lid. You couldn't. I had to buy a pallet of aluminium cans. 3,500 I had to buy. Lids came in only pallets of 227,000. But luckily, I found someone who gave me three sleeves that I could buy. The labels, I wasn't able to buy a single label. I had to buy 1,000 at a time to make them look good. There's all sorts of like hurdles, etc. And the hardest one was actually putting the lid onto the Solarcan, so it was like sealed shut, etc. But I got there in the end.
So you've got all of this.
Wait, I've just gone right back to the beginning. I've been scrolling down as you've been talking, but that's the Foster's one.
That's the one.
That's the ones you gave away.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because no one's going to buy it.
I did a nice photo of that one.
Listen, a nice curved shadow at the background is still not going to sell it on it. Let's put it that way. I'm sorry.
I do realize.
Hey, so you've it's all the R&D. You've sourced all the materials, much to your dismay. So how do you then get from there to selling globally? Exactly.
So when I say I put aside £100 and 1 week of time to make this work, it cost £4,000 and 4 months of work to make the very first one. So the first one cost me £4,000 to make. I had to subsidise life by Ubering up in Edinburgh at the time, but quickly got over that. So how did I turn this into a product that people would buy? Well, I went the traditional route, the very traditional route, which is Kickstarter. And I launched Kickstarter in April of 2017 and achieved my goal. I set a goal of £2,500 to recover some of my costs. And within a month, I'd raised £25,000 for the first run of Solarcan. So that's what launched this basically, and that's how I knew I could stop working as an Uber driver.
That Kickstarter worked very, very well. I kind of get the feeling where this is going to go now, but that must have been a really good Kickstarter campaign.
No, I didn't do anything to do with that one.
Yeah, no, this was me. It was a very ad hoc video of me stood in front of a bookcase, no music behind, and it was just me being honest, saying, "Hey, these are a Solarcan. Are you confused? They make pictures like this, this, and this, and could you fund me, please? Because I spent a lot of time doing this, and this is a bit of fun." And it was very, very popular.
You know what? Me and Adam are always saying, like, video is what sells a product. Like, all the time. Like, if you've got a good video, you can sell anything. I think this is the exception that proves the rule, because your first video was bad, but you still sold 10 times the amount. So you also obviously have an awesome product because the video didn't sell it. You sold it.
Well, sorry, Sam, sorry to cut across you, but contrary to what you may be thinking on this stream, if you're watching, its content is king. It's not necessarily the quality of the video. It's the quality of the content. And obviously, the content in that initial Kickstarter video. Do we have a copy of it?
We can definitely find it. Do we want to see it?
I'd love to see Sam going, look, here's a can. It takes a photo.
But you're very right. The video isn't professionally made. The sound is normal on it. There's nothing super. It just flashes through some images. But it worked. The video really did work, and it resonated with people because they felt like they were listening to someone, and it didn't matter that it wasn't a flashy advertising campaign, that it was a straightforward person from the inventor. Go on, Chris. Embarrass me.
Before we do, Jesus, did you spend time in Australia as a wrangler? Listen, by the way, you didn't come here to be treated nicely, Sam. What was your aimed at demographic? Was it hobbyists? Was that really kind of the route that you were looking for, or just generally inquisitive people?
That's the right word, inquisitive. Yeah, anyone who's curious, those sort of people. So I think wrote somewhere that ages young to old, astronomers, photographers and artists, or just anyone who is curious about the world. And that is the demographic is that large, because I realize some people just aren't curious. They don't care for this sort of thing. But I prefer to spend my time around guys like you who are very curious about things and want to try new things out and learn a bit more about the world.
Right, let's hear from the crocodile hunter.
I don't know whether the sound's going to come through. It might be coming through my mic, so I apologize about that. That might even make it sound worse. Let's just play it and have a look.
Hi, and welcome to my first ever Kickstarter, where I'd like to talk to you about Solarcan, a fully functional extreme time exposure camera capable of capturing the path of the sun through the day sky. Confused? Well, with Solarcan, people of all ages and abilities will be able to create unique images like this, or this, or this. Let me explain to you how the Solarcan works. When it first arrives, getting started couldn't be easier. Just look for a nice spot to place it outside or a sun-facing window inside and make sure it's secure, then remove the black tab. Immediately, light will be able to pass through the pinhole and begin exposing an image on the photographic paper inside. The minimum exposure time is around a week. However, bear in mind that the longer you leave it, the more impressive the sun's path will look. During the summer, the sun is higher in the sky, whereas in the winter, much lower. When your time is up, you simply...
I'm going to stop it, but I just want to say, like, it may not be the prettiest of videos with music and stuff behind it, but you are so good at explaining what it does. And I've never really looked at it from that perspective before. When you've asked me to do things for you, I've always thought, how can I make this like punchy and exciting? But the real value in that video is what you're saying. It's exactly what Adam said, really.
That in hand with the illustrative JPEGs that you're animating through and the little bit of B-roll that it's obviously stock footage that you've picked up. I'm sorry, but I was literally expecting something on a camera, but on a phone or something. That's a really well made video. I'm sorry, you slagged it off. I loved it.
I didn't slag it off.
No, Sam did. I've got to say though, I love the message is great, but I'm sorry, I just can't get past how impressed I am with that handlebar mustache. I honestly,
it used to be better than that. It used to be very impressive.
You're an amazing man.
Yeah. Right.
I love it. So you say you're selling, thankfully, globally, and may I take this point to say congratulations. I love seeing these success stories, and I'm getting the fact that you are a success story. So where is this now going, Sam? Is it literally this time next year, Rodney?
Well, it's funny because when we started, the Kickstarter raised enough for just under 2,000 Solarcan. Very good. Just under 2,000 Solarcan. And it took me about 6 weeks to get them all built and shipped out. And there were 10-hour days. And I was learning as I went along because, I'd only produced a few prototypes and it takes months to see if it works or not. So at the time, I didn't know what could go right or what could go wrong. Despite solography had been around for about a decade and a half, there were still lots of pitfalls and things that I had to understand. Like shipping overseas, would it be affected in any way, or could they break, or sometimes they not work, or terrified that one day I put a piece of photographic paper in backwards instead of the right way and it just doesn't work. And I've had recurring nightmares about those things. Thankfully, never happened. So it was a huge learning experience, but at the same time, I knew that, well, I kind of knew that I'm never going to build 10,000 of these. You know, I might sell a few on a website over time, and I'll keep enough stock to make some more. But slowly and gradually, over the months, over the years, as Christmas approached and people wanted for birthday presents, and I ran a second Kickstarter which developed a retail package, because the first one didn't have retail package. Second one has a retail package with a manual.
Love that.
It slowly developed and gathered steam and pace, and I started getting people stocking them in different countries, and more people interested, and more YouTube videos where I chat to people online. And it became in an unusual way, a sort of a little darling of a different couple of industries. For a little while, it was the little darling of the film photography industry. So because it was a new product and people within the industry want to support that product. And then in the same way, the astronomy industry, because it's the most inexpensive way you can take an astronomy photo, because the sun is an object in our solar system, and astronomers love the images it captures and being able to decipher those lines that they've got in the sky. But still then, I didn't know that it would carry on. And every year it got bigger and better and bigger and better. And so much so that by Christmas last year, you know, I already knew that it was going to continue next year into 2021. And I had to employ someone to help me start building them, because on average, since we started, we've built about 10 a day, sold about 10 a day, including weekends. But in 2021, we're selling about 35, 40 a day. So it's really ramping up in the amount of Solarcan that we're selling, and it's not slowing down. This Christmas is going to be crazy. This month alone, which is a special month for Solarcan, because it's when the sun reaches the highest point in the sky. So we'll look at an image again. So every line that you see there is a single day of the sun, which you've probably gathered already. The higher ones here are the summer months, or perhaps the sun could get so high they crop off the top of the image, so you might have to place your Solarcan in an unusual way. These lines underneath are reflections from the sun. The lower ones are the winter solstice, or coming winter months. And I'll just point out, if anyone's wondering, the dotted lines, you've probably guessed what they are already. They're clouds. Days. Yeah, clouds passing in front of the sun for little whiles as well to create these dotted lines.
I'll leave.
So, can I ask a technical question?
Of course.
You say these are, I love the term, rather than lung exposure, these are extreme lung exposure. I think all of us, when we first picked up a camera, I don't know if I'm speaking on my own here, but I went to a motorway bridge very quickly
and took the light car,
and totally gauged it wrong, and it was completely overexposed. If you've left the shutter open long enough and too many cars have gone past, it's literally just white. Can you overexpose? Actually, this sounds like a challenge. Can you overexpose the Solarcan?
No.
And if not, why?
No, you can't.
Why?
No. You can't, because not enough sunlight will get in and burn parts of the image that aren't there. If we go back to the idea that we're using photographic paper and not photographic film, and we're intentionally fogging that photographic paper, analogy that...
Can I interrupt you? Is it all because of the size of the pinhole? So if you had a slightly bigger pinhole, then it could overexpose, or if you had a slightly... I imagine you spent a lot of time making sure that pinhole was exactly the right size to get that specific aperture, yeah?
Yeah, even if we made the pinhole a millimeter in size, it still wouldn't overexpose. You'd be able to leave it out for 10. You'd be able to leave it out for 10 years, and it would just go over itself. The sun's lines would go back over itself, and it would just become more and more blocks. And rather than cloudy days, you know, the lines would fill in eventually. The longest one I've seen on a Solarcan is a 3-year exposure, although there's probably some that've been up for 4 years now that I'm getting excited to see. Last December, that there was a sort of viral sensation because of a well-titled photograph saying the longest exposure ever, which was 10 years or something, and it was a solargraph by a university in Leeds, I think, and someone savvy wrote a comment saying, "Oh, you can purchase a Solarcan. They do these sort of things if you want to give it a go." And which is basically what Solarcan's for, which is nice, rather than building your own. If you're not sure about how to build your own, or you just want a nice, easy product to get started with, it works very well. But no, you can't overexpose it, because if we go back to photographic paper,
you're burning it.
Yeah, we're burning just part of the photographic paper, and we're not spreading the light on the inside. The light is being directed. I suppose you could argue that over 1,000 years it would overexpose, which is very possible, because enough radio waves would burn the photographic paper over that sort of time, or gamma rays or something. I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm just going.
No, you're absolutely. I totally get where you're going, because the only reason, the main reason that it can't overexpose is because light will never hit every single square millimeter of that paper. It's
exactly, and it will hit some parts way more than others. Now, a good analogy, which most British school children will be familiar with, is sugar paper up on the walls. And at the end of term, the teacher takes down everyone's work, and there's all these squares left, where the people's artwork or whatever has protected that part of the sugar paper. Whereas the bit that's the sun's hit, and you can see all these squares, and that's always fascinated me. It's the same thing, really. You know, a different material, sugar paper, and maybe we could make a Solarcan with that. But it's the same. It's just an analogy of how it works.
So, do you make every single one in house where you are now? And
the Solarcan workshop. Yeah.
Can you show us around a little bit? Can you spin us?
Yeah. It's really messy, Chris.
It doesn't matter. There's only 3 people watching.
Wow. So not to sound like
big red window. This is interesting. People like this. You see, there's a panel out up there because it fell out this morning. But this big red window. Usually, this is all red light. So I'll show you. Actually, hold on. It's usually just. We usually work in just red light in this room. And there's a bit of, not turned that light off, sorry.
There we go.
And this is how me and Dawn work here all day long, building the Solarcan. It's not really necessary, but we do it to protect the photographic paper just in case. And perhaps, dare I say, give the illusion that we're more careful than we need to be. But it's not necessary. If you're building your own Solarcan or want to try it at home, and you are someone who is into film photography and has your own darkroom paper and know exactly what to do, give it a go. You don't need to buy a Solarcan. You can make it yourself.
Shut up.
Well, you can make it yourself. And I've always said that. I don't want to take people's fun or the workshop away from people. This is just a great idea for people who perhaps want a present or a single.
It is my amazing product. Don't buy it. Make it yourself. No. So
yeah, but people are lazy. People don't. A lot of people are lazy.
You know what? I said it from the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah. This is exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking, my God, this guy either has far too much time on his hands, or he's nowhere near at the development stage, or nowhere near as nowhere near as much of a procrastinator as I am. Because literally that development, you said very, very early on that it takes so much time to see if it's worked because it's such long exposure. So yeah, people are lazy. So you can buy them. I'm assuming you showed me the retail thing there. I love that in the actual cylinder box. But you can also buy them as a pack of 3. Why would you buy them as a pack of 3 rather than 1? Is that to do multiple different times, or can you place them at different places to get different things? What's the idea other than selling more units to get 3 rather than 1?
Okay, good question, because we'll start with the single, which is the Solarcan Classic.
This would be a really good time to show the Kickstarter video, wouldn't it? Because
hold on,
because it explains all of this.
Kickstarter video that you made, yeah?
This is the one I made. Yeah, let's have.
Chris helped with our third quick Kickstarter video. Yeah, so you can find it, which was the launch of Solarcan Colors, which is you don't see this in the picture because there was a redesign, but yeah.
Let's watch that because that explains it.
All right.
Doesn't it?
Three years ago, we launched the Solarcan Classic, an extreme time exposure camera capable of capturing the path of the sun over days, weeks, months or years. Spread across the globe, a community of Solarcan users from Scotland to Australia, Canada to Hong Kong shared incredible photographs taken with the world's simplest camera. Off the back of the success of the Solarcan Classic, we pulled our resources into developing a brand new product range, which took the original concept and turbocharged it. Introducing Solarcan Colors. First up, El Dorado, a warm golden quality accentuated by thick solarized halos. Atlantis, ice-cool tones with a smooth edge. And Nebula, a duotone solargraph with radically opposed colours. Presented in a retail box as a pack of 3, each one will include El Dorado, Atlantis and Nebula. If you've only just discovered Solarcan and you might be a bit confused, let's show you how it works. It's a camera and everything is there ready for you to install. Simply find a nice sunny location outside, perhaps installed on a drain pipe or a fence post using the cable ties supplied. Finally, remove the black tab. The sun will then do its work and then start drawing the path of the sun on the photographic paper installed within. When you've had enough or simply just run out of patience after a few weeks, months or even years, take down the Solarcan and retrieve the photographic paper from inside. Then all that's left to do is to scan and invert your image. Your masterpiece is created. Solarcan Colors is for the community, so why not join us and become part of the revolution? We're ready to start manufacturing. We're ready to start creating. We have all the stock and are ready to start shipping across the world to the Solarcan community. But we can't do that without your help. So please pledge below and help turn Solarcan Colors into a reality. Let's take a look.
That was the best bit. I forgot about that bit and I turned it off. Oh, I wish I could skip through to the end. What does it do? Does it hit you in the head?
No. Didn't I catch it? You threw me a Solarcan and I went bing, call it.
No,
maybe I missed it, or I went to catch it.
If I could fast forward through the video, I would play that again because that's good fun. That's really good fun.
You can find it on the original Kickstarter page. I mean,
yeah.
So yes,
do you understand?
I prefer the first Kickstarter, to be honest with you. I thought that was a little bit too flashy, to be fair. Am I joking? By the way, if you're joining late, Chris was involved in the production. Oh God, this does not do anything for my OCD. Chris was involved in the production. In fact, he fully produced that video. Beautifully well done. Love the idea of the colors as well. Obviously, this is a product which it demands or it dictates you make the decision and stick with it, because a lot of us photographers, we shoot in RAW, we can change so much after it. I love the fact that you've literally got to plan out or not where you want to put it and then literally just stand by your conviction. And what colors as well. I love the range of colors. Why the different range of colors? Is it something that you developed after the first one? You thought, oh, actually, that'd be good because that brings a different color and that a different color, or was it always an idea to add to the range?
Yeah, there's in my head there's a roadmap of where Solarcan is going to go, and this was halfway along it. Solarcan Colors. I wasn't even sure of what the name was at that time, but I knew that if you use different brands and different types of photographic paper, you would get different results. And it took a long time to establish how different these results would be. In the context of Solarcan. So I had to test dozens and dozens of different types of photographic paper, and also make sure that I could get enough stock to be able to make the range, etc. And also make sure that the paper that I was testing wasn't old or retired paper that might be producing a different result inadvertently. So it took a lot of testing, but I knew that halfway along the line, I wanted to develop the classics slightly in that style. So the people who've been supporting Solarcan the whole time are able to sort of try something a bit more different and a bit more exciting, because maybe they're at that stage. One of the most exciting things that the community has done is when someone has taken a single Solarcan and they've created their one image, and they've gone on to sort of begin a career in solography and analog type photography for their artist practice. And I think that's really, really great, knowing that it started with Solarcan. What you get in some of the photography, as you'll know, photographers can be a little bit neckbeardy in some instances, and they don't want to admit they don't know how to do something. I think it's a really common thing in the photography world.
You want to be the smart ass in the room, to be fair. Yeah,
absolutely. And I do understand that. I've taught photography to photographers and astrophotography to photographers, and they all think they know what they're doing, even though they're in the classroom. You'll know. I know because I've been one myself, so I understand how it is. So just like I was in 2016, I knew how to make this. I got the idea of how it worked, but I was like, not sure if this is right. And I had to test it to make sure it worked. By maybe a long-term photographer buying one, they're sort of admitting to themselves that they didn't actually know how it worked, because they weren't sure. Because the questions I got when I first started doing it were the same questions I was asking when I was starting to sell them, because I'm still learning every day different things that happen with Solarcan or solving solutions. Like most common one, there are street lamps. There's a street lamp right over where my Solarcan is. Is it going to affect the image? My answer was, I don't know. I do not know. I know now that no, will not affect the image. Stare at a street lamp for 5 minutes. Stare at it for 5 minutes. Now stare at the sun for 5 minutes. See if there's a difference. Don't do that. Don't do that. Take that with a pinch of salt.
That should be on your website. That should be up in like how to check.
It's a great thing that you raised there, because I don't know if it's just the way I am, or and I know Chris is exactly the same. I love not knowing something, because at least that then opens a conversation. But I think we've all met enough people. I mean, photographers, you touched there on photographers. That's the problem, isn't it? You meet the amount of photographers who go, well, I understand the exposure triangle. What else can you tell me? You know, and it's, I don't know about you, Chris, but in an edit, I think, well, okay, this, even just today. And I thought, well, if I kind of do that and do that and do that, I think that's going to look good. But I'm not exactly sure how it's going to look. So then I'm going to have to do it to then play it back and see it. And that's exactly what you're doing, and just on a much longer time scale. I think it's so important to be inquisitive and accept that you don't know everything.
Can I interject here? Because I found something on your Instagram. You actually sent me a link to this, and I've never seen this before. And it's been sat here playing on my screen for ages because I want to talk about it.
Is it what I'm seeing cycling in the green room?
Yeah.
That oh my God.
It's a time lapse of loads of different Solarcans.
Can I tell you about it?
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm going to leave it playing because I love it.
No, if you just go to solarcan.co.uk/matrix. And
okay, 1 second. I will do that.
I was like, Chris, I thought you were telling the viewers rather than.
Yeah, I did as well.
Chris, do what you're told. Oh, by the way, we'll just take this little interjection to say, if you are interested in Solarcan, there'll be a link in the bottom in the description of both streams, whether you're watching on Chris Watkins Media, that's how he was baptized, and also down in Music Man, where you can click through and you can purchase one. What are you looking like that for? What's wrong with you?
Look at that.
Yeah. Okay.
Whoa.
Rather than read it through, should I talk you through
Yeah.
what the Solarcan matrix is? Okay, so every 6 months, the sun reaches the highest point in the sky or the lowest point in the sky, and I intend on creating some sort of stunt or some sort of experiment just to see what will happen. And in this particular instance, I set up 27 Solarcan overlooking Willistruther Loch, which is in the Scottish borders, about 5 minutes drive from me, pointing down at this loch in the direction of the sun. And why 27? Well, every week from the winter solstice, which was December the 21st, to June the 21st, which is what we call Solarcan Day, because it's when the sun reaches the highest point in the sky, I took down a Solarcan. So I took down one Solarcan a week, and there was one spare just in case. And
he's a proper photographer, by the way, Chris. He's not like me or you. He literally puts fail safes in, as you were, Sam. Right.
And every week I would take one down, I'd scan it, and I'd have a look at it and see what would happen. And I developed that, and it created what you saw cycling through, which if you scroll down, you'd see the development of this little rig that I set up, what it was looking at. And you probably see the GIF that's moving through. And why I'm particularly proud of this was because it was my first APOD. It was featured as astronomy photo of the day, something that I've been obsessed with since I was a child. Really, has been around for a long time. If you go back up, Chris, go back up.
How the hell does that work? Go up.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry.
This was week 3. So week 3, it taught me something, that the sun in the first few weeks of after the winter solstice does not move up very high. It just passes over itself again and again. So for the longest time, I didn't know why the lines at the bottom were brighter. It's because the sun passes over that line again and again and again and again, as long as it's sunny. Now, what happened here? Why did it look like a pair of lips or something like that? Yes. Sorry?
The Solarcan moved.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes!
It wasn't the Solarcan that moved.
It was
You're not going to believe this. There was a vandal that was sort of thought they were funny, that every week they would come along and they'd prod or poke or do something to the next one that I was taking down. So they were all fine, but the next one I was taking down would be prodded or poked or spun round. And it was like someone was trolling me. And the third week, they inadvertently created a truly beautiful image. It's one of my favorite, that really, really lovely. But it's included in the time lapse. And so I had to deal with a vandal, and it was so depressing going back every week and seeing the next one had been poked or squished or whatever. But they were all there. None were ever stolen. And it was in a very public space.
I'm sorry, that is slow burn trolling. My father-in-law, for about 6 months, had a separate bottle of fairy liquid and kept on topping it up a little bit until about 6 months later, my mother-in-law went, God, this is lasting ages. That's literally the Solarcan version of that. That is slow burn trolling right there.
You got a comment. Do you want to read it, Adam?
Last week I watched your stream because it was fun to see Adam after many years, but today I am all fascinated. Awesome product and really interesting to learn the facts. Thank you so much for messaging. We searched, Chris and I went into the green room after we'd finished. I was searching for you and we couldn't find you anywhere. So please, if you could let us know in the comments who you are, that'd be great. If you're a long lost uncle with lots of money, that'd be great. That'd be lovely to know. But you're absolutely right. This is an absolutely fascinating product. Is it
I knew you'd like it.
Oh my God, seriously, you know how much of a geek. Look, mate, I've literally gone full on dark room in here. Can you see?
Yeah. Scroll down so you can see the rotating one. So that's all 27 that you see there. And there you can see. So this is the what was it called? The longest ever solography time lapse or something. It's got some sort of record. I actually can't. It's been a while now. This is like 2 years old. It's been 2 years old. That was.
So Sam, bearing in mind that a lot of development, I know it's a lot of time and effort in your and I know that a lot of R&D needs to be worked in to costing. This is expensive, right? Sorry to sound crass.
It's $15.95 plus postage. So $15.95 plus £3 in the UK or £4 overseas
for a camera.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe
so it's got the Solarcan. It's fully built. It's ready to use. It comes with two I'm very proud of these. If you can't tell, these Solarcan cable ties, which I've just. This was an iteration that I only did around January or February. So it's printed on the cable ties. Science experiment. Please do not touch.
Brilliant.
Should be able to read that there. So that's funny. These are 550 millimeter 9mm wide, so they're very tough and strong. That's your Solarcan. They come in a box like this. Okay, so it's got instructions on the side. You open it up. You take your Solarcan out, and inside you find an instruction manual. And the instruction manual is 16 pages long. It has some blurb at the front, and what's more, we refresh this instruction manual every 6 months to share more images that have been produced by the community. So every 6 months, the best images that I've seen go into the community manual. And the most recent one is, we're on volume 6, so issue 6.
I didn't catch that. Could you try again?
Phone's talking to me, sorry. So you see, it's got really colourful over time, and I like to include a really, really nice one that works well for the back cover as well. It comes with tips and tricks of how to develop or how to process, some science, the science behind Solarcan. You see, so how it works. So it becomes it's a real science experiment or a learning thing. And I've been unable to say this without sounding cheesy, but it's as much as a camera as it is a learning experience, and a genuine learning experience. You open it up and you take the lid off with a can opener, a normal tin opener, a baked bean tin opener. It comes off very, very smoothly, and you pop it out and you have a look at it, and you just know how it works, and you understand optics, you understand light, you understand astronomy, you understand how the sun moves through the sky. You're just wowed how much the sun has shone during those last 6 months you've had it up. And then you scan it and invert it, and you're suddenly an artist because you're developing it and you're converting it in your own colors. And as you see, that look at the range of colors you get, and these are just developed by the community. I mean, because people have different scanners, people use different software. When you use the inversion tool, you might get slightly different black points on it, and it's so you go from a photographer to an astronomer to an artist, all within the space of a few minutes while you do it. And
you say that you either take a picture or you scan it. I'm all about the nuts and bolts of it. So you take a picture or you scan it and you get it into your computer. Are you familiar with the easiest? I mean, personally, I go straight into Photoshop with it. Maybe Lightroom, no, Photoshop. Are you aware of an easier program to be able to just feed it in one click and do it, or is that part of the learning curve?
I recommend Lightroom, GIMP, or Snapseed. So Snapseed for your phone, you can use the curves to adjust the curves, turn it invert. Lightroom curves again, because who knew Lightroom has not got an inversion tool?
Oh, that's why I said Lightroom, and then I was like, no, Photoshop. Yeah.
It's bizarre. You've got to invert the curve. This is something we need to discuss. Why does Lightroom not have an inversion? You've got to get plugins. But But it's, you know, so many people are shooting film nowadays, and they've got negatives, and they want to do their inversion. It really baffles me why it's not.
They've ruined Lightroom. Since they've gone on to this mobile thing, Lightroom is absolutely.
I'm still using Classic. Still using Classic.
Oh, my Classic doesn't open anymore.
Mate, you and I were doing something the other day actually with regards to Lightroom, and I just fed it into Photoshop. But I live in Classic just purely. By the way, yeah, sorry, we're geeking out right now. But Classic for me is still the one. If I've done a full shoot, just to even batch process, it's so much.
Why can't you batch process?
I know. I had a student last year, and she was learning on this Lightroom CC. And I'm like, well, all you need to do is select these and then batch process. I can't work out how. Just look up a YouTube video, find out how. So, can I bring it in? Can you show me how? Yeah, I'll show you how. I can't batch process.
I think you rang me.
Maybe I did. I'm like, why can't I batch process?
Yeah, for those who don't know, the easiest way of getting kind of everything with regards to Photoshop on a computer for free is GIMP. It's all right. It's quite powerful. I think you'll both agree. It's quite.
I never used it. Never used it.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Let's have a look.
It's all right. I'm fascinated. Seriously, Chris.
You're sold, aren't you?
Oh my God! Seriously, take my money. I'm
Adam. There's a referral link in our video description. Click on that referral link and buy it through that.
I will.
I think that's we are going over to, you know, every week we say we're going to try and get it right on the hour, and every week we've been over. But it's been lovely speaking to you, Sam. We'll let you go back to building millions of Solarcans. I've loved having you on, Adam.
Pleasure, absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for taking the time, because you clearly are in there from dawn till dusk. Yeah, don't forget Solarcan colors. He's look at me, Sam. I'm on brand, son. But yeah, thank you so much for taking the time. I really, really appreciate it, Sam, because you're always in there. So thanks for being in there for another hour. I think.
Sorry,
sorry,
guys.
It's all right. This is how our streams go. It's not a problem.
We'll be at the photography show if any of your subscribers are going to be.
And so will we. We will be at the photography show.
Yeah, just before we came live, Chris told me we're going to the photography show. So if my wife's watching, can I go, please? Can I go and play?
If you don't go, I'm going to come up and I'm going to drive all the way to Liverpool and drive you back down to Birmingham, because you're going. You'll have the time of your life and you'll spend loads of money and it'll be brilliant. Right. Good night, everyone, and thank you for watching.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thanks.